All right, so welcome everybody. I don't know where you're living, but it's definitely cold here in Colorado. It's windy, cold, blowing stuff around. Did a little bit of snow this morning, just kind of a dusting, but it's one of those days and stuff you want to stay in and eat really good food. So that's what we're going to do. So if you haven't met me before, I'm Kelley, the plant-based kitchenista. You can see me on a couple different places. We do these classes about every 2 weeks. I do some classes around here in Colorado, so those are face-to-face classes. And then I'm also on Chef AJ's show. So I am the fourth Sunday of every month. And so it was before I was on at noon, but I know she's changed the time just a little bit, which is just great. So I'll be on at 10 a.m. So Jerry will be eating lunch a lot earlier than he usually is, which is okay. So, which is not a big deal, but yeah, with love Chef AJ, she's one of the best. So today we're actually going to be making huevos rancheros. So we usually get asked a lot for like different types of breakfast foods, but huevos rancheros can be any time of the day. It's almost like tostados. I mean, you can eat them for lunch, you can eat them for dinner, whenever you want to do that. So we decided for the next two classes to bring back some different types of kind of like you could do them like on a Sunday brunch or breakfast items. And so everybody can kind of add those to your repertoire. And then you'll see some classes in March, and I'm just kind of waiting on some dates. We've got some ceiling repair in our new place and stuff that they need to do. So I need to find out what dates they're going to do in March, and then I'll get those scheduled for that. So hopefully you guys will join me for those too. The next one that we're going to be doing is Veggie Benedicts. So I had to think about it. I was like, egg Benedict, no, it's not right. Veggie Benedict. So we're going to be doing that one next. You'll get to learn the Benedict sauce, which is a really easy one to do. And once you make it up, what I always recommend is like to do double batch, because then you can use it on, baked potatoes. You can pour it over asparagus. There's so many things that you can do with that. So we'll definitely get that going for the next one. And that'll be a lot of fun. And Jerry can't wait. That's one of his favorite things in the whole world, I think, next to huevos rancheros and tostados. So and probably about 30 other things. So we won't go there. All right. So we'll get started here in for a second, but I'll have Jerry introduce himself. If you see me looking over to the side, it's just because I have a laptop over here. So that way, if you guys, put in chat, different questions, and feel free, please ask questions. I love questions. And I love, like talking about if you're like, don't like that. Is there a substitution? Please just let me know. Happy to help. I'll share tips and tricks, whatever I can do and stuff to help, because this is truly about community. It's about, looking at, people who want to live a healthy lifestyle, or even just maybe kind of bring a little bit into the lifestyle. Like we always talk about, some people are vegetarian, vegan, plant-based, whole foods, all kinds of things out there. And some people are just plant curious. So it's just a great way to have recipes and share and all learn together. So I'll go ahead and have Jerry. And like I said, if I look over here, I'm just making sure if somebody needs in, I'll let him in. But otherwise, I'll have Jerry introduce himself. Talk for just a minute or two.
Too long? Hello, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Jerry Casados. I'm a plant-based nutritionist, and we've been plant-based now over 15 years, going on 16, I think, end of the month. So we're proud of that. And yeah, I've been plant-based for health reasons of my own, with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease developing. So I went and visited Dr. John McDougall in his 10-day living program back in 2007. I was better, off all medications. I lost 35 pounds not in 10 days, but after that, during the whole process. But no, I'm also a certified instructor for Dr. McDougall's Starch Solution program. So I teach his program, and his family is amazing what they do to help people get well. He's been doing it for over 40 years. But anyway, yeah, just any questions about nutrition, I'd be glad to answer. And just on the chat window, any questions, just put them in the chat window. And if anything else, that's it. Enjoy.
Yeah, he can't wait to eat. He sits there, he's behind the camera and stuff and drools. This is how everybody that knows Jerry and stuff knows exactly how he is. So, all right. So huevos rancheros. So one other thing too, that you can also, you've probably seen from Chef AJ and quite a few other people, and we've actually put it out there too. There is a bundle. So Chef AJ worked with about, I don't know, about 100 people and put a bundle together. And I think it's like $49. And so you'll see it out there, but there's like hundreds and thousands of different, like there's, like all kinds of different information. There might be somebody sharing something about nutrition, like Jerry's on there. I did a meal prep. And then there's other chefs that are on there, recipes, Dr. McDougall's on there. So lots and lots of different people. So if you need any more information, if you're on our meetup site, and then Jerry put it up there. You'll see it during the meeting chat and stuff for the bundle. Feel free, but like as you get it, I think you can download it, but you get like a year's access to it. So all kinds of recipes, people putting things out there, and all one great big one package. Yeah, I think Jerry was just saying it's like 5 more days and stuff that Chef AJ's running it. So if you guys want to do that, it's a great deal. So like I said, lots of good recipes, lots of good information to share. All right, so we're going to switch around a little bit because I want to get certain things going on the Huevos Rancheros instead of, like in recipes usually go from step 1, step 2. I'm going to go a little bit different because I want to get the sauce going. That's going to be on the Huevos Rancheros, and then I'll kind of come back and do like the tofu scramble. So I kind of put some things in order of how I want to do it. So the sauce is the first thing that we're going to do. So if you've got the recipes are always on the site, and you just go to a Google site and download them. So we're going to go ahead and get stuff started. So let's do a little bit of vegetable broth. I don't cook with any oil. So it's always vegetable broth, vegetable stock, water, or white wine. And white wine is usually with any type of Italian dishes. And that's even rare, I would say. If I bought a box of the white wine, it probably took me over a year, I think, to use it. One of those small little boxes, so the Franzia. So don't use it a lot, but it's always good to have around if you're looking for like a good gnocchi sauce or something. All right, so the dried chili. So I've got one dried chili, and I'll tell you why. Because instead of just the regular dried chilies and stuff, the only one that I had was the whole chili ancho, and this can be really hot. So I was like, I don't think I want to put 2 of them in there because then Jerry and I, it'll be like fire coming out of our nostrils. So that's why I only use one. These are really good to buy. I mean, they're probably a couple dollars a pack, and you can keep them forever. I have kept these are probably about 6-7 months old. And and sometimes I'll just break off a little piece to put it into like a salsa or something, but there's all kinds of different things that you can use with that. So all we're going to do is just going to kind of like saute it a little bit on the side. So it kind of what it's doing is getting the process going for breaking it down and starting to rehydrate it. And they rehydrate really fast. So it's an easy way to do it. Let's just say though, you're like, I don't, and then if your vegetable broth burns off, you're like, I really don't want to buy these chilies, or they're hard because of COVID, and supply chains and stuff, they're hard to find. Then, you can order them on Amazon, or you can start looking at, like, if you want some of that heat, use some of like the red chili flakes. So what you'd want to do too is kind of follow the same process, but instead of putting like a whole handful, just put like maybe of the red chili flakes, probably maybe like 10 or 11, and then it'll still give you that nice heat, but not necessarily where you have to go buy all this kind of stuff and store it in your pantry. I have a lot of these because have done some classes, can't talk today, where we've done tamales. And so a lot of times when we're making the red chili, that's when we use a lot of these type of peppers. So I'll just throw that off to the side. I'll show you here this in a second. So remember how hard that chili was? So you have this chili that is like rock hard to not even a minute or 2 that's in the broth is now, see how it's almost like rehydrated already? So that's partially right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this in just a dish like that. I'm going to keep the pan because I'll need that here in just a second. So let me just grab come on, pause, and we don't hear the beeping. So I'm going to put that in there like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put water over the side of it or the top of it. So about a half a cup. And the reason why is I want it to set just a little bit longer while I'm getting everything ready, because the more that it hydrates, the less of the skin and the hardness and stuff that you'll have. So if it needs just a little bit more, because it's one of these big peppers, then I'm actually just going to I'm going to pull the actual stem off. That way it'll flatten a little bit more. If you need just a little bit more, then just add a little bit more water. And if you want it to hydrate fast, like really fast, hot water. So just put some boiling hot water on it, but it breaks down. It'll start breaking down really quick. So I'm just going to let it sit there. Another way that you could do it too is if you've got the water and you want to do it pretty fast because you're like, oh, I forgot I was supposed to do those steps, then microwave also is another easy way. heat it up pretty fast, it'll break down. But you know, as I was showing you just a few minutes ago, it breaks down really quick. All right, so the sauce, so now back to do a little bit of vegetable broth again. Start it up. And the nice thing about it is I didn't wash the pan because you still have a little bit of that heat in there. So when I'm putting in like the onions and the garlic and all that, I'm still getting that great heat. And if you don't like a lot of heat, go really low on the heat. Okay, so onions. So just regular diced onions, doesn't matter. As I kind of, you can tell I worked all day. It's like little discombobulated there, but just, it doesn't matter if they're white onions, red onions, yellow onions, whatever you have, it is really good. Leftover onions, all good. You can buy onions already chopped up if you don't want to chop them up. Garlic, so just diced garlic. Diced minced garlic, which is great. And then one of the recipes asked for, so it's going to give this really nice kind of a vegetable flavor to it. And so instead of using the vegetable broth, which has a good flavor, but it's not like really outstanding, then I'm using a little bit of the vegetable bouillon. So this one, and this is one that I got at Natural Grocers. So this one's a vegetable bouillon, and what I really liked about it, because vegetable bouillon, when it's usually in a more compact flavor like this, usually will get like really salty, like really bad salty. This one's no salt added. So, and I've had this one for probably about 8 months. And so I use just little chunks of it. So it comes in these little, it's easier to show it this way. Comes in these little cubes like this. You can actually get them in jars. You know, you can see that the vegetable bouillon that's out there now. I just happen to have these. So all I did was just take one of the bouillon cubes here, and I'm just taking a chunk of it and dropping it in with the onions. So it's going to give that really nice flavor with all kinds of different, like a little bit different spices and things like that you get in the vegetable bouillon. And then, if you're following along, we've got a couple other things. So we've got coriander seeds, dried oregano, and then sea salt to taste. I don't cook with the sea salt or any type of salt or anything like that. So I always just have it on the table in case I decide I want some. Jerry doesn't like salt. And we actually, watch it for, health reasons and all those kind of good things like that too. So, and then it's also, Chef AJ will talk to you about part of food addiction. So let's get that in there. Smells really good. Like oregano, all those type of flavors are really good. And your bouillon, even though it was a chunk, dissolves really quick. You can smell that's like the oregano smells and the coriander smells. It's already starting to smell like the kind of the Mexican flavors that are really good out there. Just make sure your onions are sauteed. So, you're starting to get that nice, translucent look on your onions, especially when you've got a small dice, they cook up really fast. So just gonna get those going. If it dries up a little bit, add some water, add a little bit of vegetable broth, and you're good. So then it's my beat up blender. It's been through all kinds of cooking classes and events and all kinds of things. So I need to buy a new one, and I just keep forgetting every time I pull it out. I'm like, I need a new one of these, but I will do that soon. Okay, so in the blender, we're going to add the chilies. I did one chili. So when you're touching it, it's actually really soft now. So I've got the chili. I'm actually going to add the water. And one thing you could do is you could actually, instead of using like getting another dish that's dirty, so little tip, you could actually just put the chili in here with the water, and then you're not dirtying everything else, which I like. Sometimes it's nice not to have so many dirty dishes. Okay, so I got the water in there. We've got the cube, we've got the bouillon, everything else. I just mixed it all together. That way I made the onions really tasty. Scrape them all out. Same thing, you don't need to wash this pan yet because we're going to put the sauce back in here. So I'll just set it off to the side. Okay, so make sure we're just following along. We've got everything in there. So we are going to pulse it in the blender. Just kind of leave it on a low for that. All right, so then after after this is kind of post up and we're mixing it all up, and you want to make sure that it's, get it as smooth as you can. So you might have to stop your blender for a minute and then kind of scrape some things down, because you'll see some of the chilies and stuff, the little sides and stuff will flake up a little bit. But you want to get it as smooth as you can, because that's going to be the sauce that you're actually pouring back onto the huevos rancheros. And then once you put it back in the pan, it's actually going to start thickening a little bit. So that's what we want to do, is heat it up and thicken it. So let me stop it, and then I'll just do a quick scrape down. Oops. It's got a very spicy smell. Swipe that up. So taste wise, just to tell you what it's tasting like so far, it's very much like a red chili. So like a kind of like a little bit of a smoky red chili, which is good. All right, so let me just do a little bit more. And if you're not, if you're thinking about like, I've got most of the ingredients, but I don't really want to make the sauce. Another thing that you could do is there's all kinds of like smoky sauces that you can make. You could use like maybe some enchilada, like a smoky enchilada sauce, smoky fajita sauce, which will give you the same type of, not exactly same flavors, but will be really good still on a huevos rancheros. Let me just do a little bit higher. All right. That way I just don't spill it all over the place this time. Scrape a little bit of the lid off, because of course there's a lot in the lid. No waste. Okay, now got everything out. Just run a little bit of water in it. All right, now I'm gonna just put it on the back burner back here, because we need to have these other burners for what we're doing. Go really low. Put that off to the side. Okay. All right, so there's the sauce. So that's the sauce that's going to go, that we're going to drizzle on the huevos rancheros. So it's going to be really good, but a little spicy. The other thing that make sure I've got in there, because I actually forgot to add it. Guys, you're catching me on it. So the other thing, because I knew there was missing something. So the hot tomato sauce. So El Pato it's a brand and stuff. You usually see it by like, it's like if you've got it at your grocery stores, like where it'll have like the Goya beans and all those type of things and the rices. This is where you can get it. It's basically, it's like a salsa, tomato paste, not tomato paste, but tomato sauce and like chilies. And so if you don't see this in your stores, these are little cans like this. If you don't see these in your stores, what you can do is you can actually use maybe a little bit of green chilies. So it's the one where you use like when you used to use for like so it's tomatoes and green chilies, and then you add just a little bit of tomato sauce to it, will give you the same type of flavor without having to go find this. So it's Rotel. That's what I was looking for. Rotel, the tomatoes and green chilies. You could get all the different, hot, low, medium, and a little bit of tomato sauce will give you the same thing that's in this can here. So so on the can and stuff, I'm going to do half a cup. Let me just add this while and it looks just like tomato sauce with like chilies in it. So more of like your like the roasted red peppers type of thing. And it taste wise is exactly that. It is more like probably hot Rotel, tomatoes and green chilies in the little can, and then tomato sauce is exactly what it tastes like. So if you can't find it, that's your substitution for that. But actually, put that, use that as salsa for a little bit later. It's actually really good. Yum. All we need is some baked chips, not a couple, like a bowl. That would be really good. Okay, so now we've got the sauce all done. Thank you. I was catching something because I was like, I know I needed to have the sauce in there. So now what I want to do is I want to get the tortillas ready. So these are going to be, of course, the bottom of the Huevos Rancheros. So I'll kind of get these started and watch them. So all I'm going to do is there's a couple ways. You can either put like a wet, kind of like a very damp, not very damp, but a lightly damp towel, and you could put it, the tortilla in between it, and then put it in the microwave for like 5 seconds. And it makes them really pliable. But since I'm actually wanting them like just like a tortilla shell, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them right in the oven. So I've got the oven like 375, and I just put it right on the rack and then just let it, and I just watch it. And it actually turns into nice little tortilla shells. So you don't have to go buy the ones that have, because most of them that you do buy all have oil and things like that in them. So this is the healthy way to do it. And then if you end up having a bunch of tortilla shells left over and they're starting to get to the point where you need to get rid of them, make chips. Fresh chips. So let me go ahead and put on this, just get them in the oven, and I'll watch them, and Jerry will remind me. I think I'll just get 5 started, and if we don't end up eating all of them for dinner, then we'll crunch them up or have them tomorrow. All right, so we got those going. All right, so then we're going to do the tofu. So, and then I've got jackfruit here, which I'll tell you here about in a second. So tofu, regular, firm tofu. So let me grab, let's see, we've got jackfruit. I'll do this. So just a regular pot. So the tofu, extra firm, I always just get extra firm. There's all kinds of tofu out there now. So there's ones that you can get that have lots of liquid. So you see those in your regular grocery stores, and all those where you have all the different tofus. I always just do very firm just because I like the way that it holds up. And then I'll do the silken tofu, which I'll show you here for the vegan sour cream or mayo. But there's all kinds of things now, like even like Trader Joe's. If you have a Trader Joe's in your area, they do one that's like it's in a little hard pack, and it's like very, very firm. And those are the little packs and stuff are really good for like if you're taking the tofu and you're baking it up and you're going to put it on a salad or in wraps and stuff. I like their very firm, like very, very firm tofu. But otherwise, I just, like I said, for anything else, I just use when I'm making things the very firm. And then you just, of course, drain it. So I put this, get everything last night. So I just usually, put a paper towel in like that and then just let it sit in there. And then it just soaks everything up. So when you're doing tofu, because you want it to look like, when you have Huevos Rancheros, when you used to, back when 16 years ago, Jerry would get these. This is one of his favorite things. Then what he would do is, of course, it was always like scrambled eggs, or sometimes you'd see fried eggs or all kinds of different things like that. So this is what the tofu is going to mimic. So what you can do like this is I'll just go ahead and put it in a bowl because it's a little bit easier to see. So just take the tofu, if you want, break it up a little bit like that. And you could break it all up with your hands if you wanted to, or you can grab just a big fork and then just kind of make it as big a chunks as you want or smaller chunks. On something that's like a Huevos Rancheros, I tend to prefer that it's smaller chunks than the big. But tofu is one of those ones, because I'm going to put turmeric in it, but tofu takes on whatever you put on it. So whatever flavors, spices. So if you're thinking, I'd like to have the tofu a little bit spicy because then maybe if I don't eat Huevos Rancheros tomorrow and I want to have it with like on a salad or something. So maybe I'm going to make a taco salad because I have extra chips left over. Then you could do that. So I would, crunch it up, and then you could use some of this hot tomato sauce on it too. So you could mix it up that way, just without, and then you could put the turmeric so it looks yellow, but then it's spicy. So I'm just showing you this, but you could just actually do this in the pan. You can crumble it, whatever you like to do. So that's ready. So I'm just going to put a little bit of vegetable broth because it's going to get like medium. Just a little bit to keep it from sticking. Stainless steel is pretty good. You still will get a little sticking on it. If you don't want to do it in a pan and you've got a little bit more time, You could actually do the same thing, mix up your turmeric, put some other flavors in it that you want, and then you could put it on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper and put it in the oven. And then it gets even like the moisture comes out and it's almost, very like it can be crunchy if you want, but it actually could be very chewy. So up to you, however you want to do it, but there's a couple of different ways to do tofu. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'll use the turmeric. So just regular turmeric. I'll add it in there before I add it into the pan, which will make it a little bit easier. Turmeric, be careful. I'm sure any of you guys that have used turmeric before, be careful. Turmeric gets on everything. And if you've got white towels and stuff, you'll have big streaks of turmeric all over it. So you want to just make sure that you kind of watch what you're doing with turmeric. It stains very easily. I'll mix this up and I'll kind of show you here. Just make sure you get the turmeric mixed up in it. Jerry didn't remind me. Okay. So there's the tofu with the turmeric in it. So in we go. I'm sorry. Scrambled eggs. And this is where, if you want to cook, with salt and add those kind of things, I'll add a little bit of pepper to it. But like I said, I'll keep the salt off to the side. You could also add smoked paprika, which is really good. You could add some of the hot sauce. I mean, all kinds of stuff that you could do. All right, so let me grab my spoon. And so you're just gonna let it cook. Be good if I would turn it on. You're gonna let it cook just a little bit because you're wanting it to get more firm. So it's gonna have the moisture's gonna draw out and it's gonna make your tofu more firm. And this is something too, like if you wanted to use, like if you did the exact same thing or you did like little squares, when we make the veggie benedicts, it's another way and stuff that you could use tofu for that. But if you don't want tofu at all, then you don't need it with the veggie benedicts. We'll have like, tomatoes and all kinds of, asparagus and all kinds of great things. So veggie benedicts. Get those going. Check my tortillas. Just do them a quick flip. When you flip them, just do that real quick. So when you're actually they're on the shelves and stuff, and you do a quick flip when they're partially through, it keeps them because a lot of times your tortillas will try to start kind of like bending over a little bit of the actual shelves. When you flip them over, it keeps them more flat, which is really nice. And then also make sure that it's browned on both sides, which is really good. On these like the tofu basically scrambled eggs, you could have, if you've got jalapeno, all those things like that too, you could add a little bit of that in there too. So you could get kind of like spicy tofu eggs, which is really good. So that's kind of what they're looking like so far. So you'll notice that, like the vegetable broth is out of it and it's already starting to release all the moisture that's in the tofu. It's got a little bit longer to go. We're going to keep it going here. So let it sit for a minute or two. Let me check the sauce over here. Now we've got the hot tomato sauce in there. Let's just do a quick taste. It's got some kick. The El Pato and stuff is probably, like I said, it is going to be the Rotel, but it's going to be the hot. So it's got some nice kick in it, but that's okay because we're actually going to add some jalapeno. Jerry loves, jalapenos, roasted jalapenos. You could do the pickled jalapenos. You could do pickled onions on this, all kinds of different things. I mean, it's one of those ones that I'm giving you the base recipe and you'll see how I kind of build it up because I actually also roasted up some corn because we had corn on the cob last night. So I was like, well, I need to go ahead and use the corn. So I roasted some up to put on there, which is not typical huevos rancheros. It's still going to be good. It'll still be pretty. That going a little bit. There's still some moisture in it. Check the tortillas, Jerry said. Hot. And you don't have to do them by hand. I had the tongs, but I'm so used to doing them that I just usually grab them out. So I got one that's a little bit browner than the others, but you know what? I like it that way. So that'll be beautiful. So great tortillas. These are already done. Nice and hard and crispy and no extra bad ingredients. Usually people ask me what, let me just stir that quick. Will ask me what the brand is. So this one's Tortillas Mexico, home style. And it's just basically all it's in it and stuff is corn. So these are really good. I've seen them. You get them at pretty much like, well, we've got them at King Soopers, so Kroger's. You can get pretty up Safeway, all different stores. I would assume probably like Aldi's and everything else would probably have something like this. Good. They're all, there's all kinds of brands out there, but those hold up really well because a lot of times you'll get tortillas and then they start cracking all over the place. That's when you use them for chips. Jerry we'll go to Mexican restaurants and we'll get, fajitas, no oil, black bean, burritos, that type of things. And we usually take our own chips. So Jerry likes me to, make up a bunch of chips, put them in a baggie, kind of hot them off to the side a little bit. But then, we think we're being really like stealth. But then we get to know the waiters and waitresses because there's, certain restaurants that we go to and they're like, oh yeah, you don't want chips, right? You just want the salsa because you bring your own chips. And we're like, oh, we thought we were being sneaky. No. But it's good. That's the way to eat lots of salsa and really good salsa without having all the fat of the chips. All right, so this is almost ready. It's already starting to firm up, which is really good. So I will hold this off to the side. So there we go. So there is the tofu eggs. Like I said, there's not much flavor to them because the turmeric doesn't have much flavor. So this is when you would, if you definitely want salt or other flavors and stuff, this is where you would add that in. But since I'm going to have, I've got that hot sauce and everything else in there, I'm leaving it plain until after it's all put together and then make that decision. So I'm just going to put this off to the side. Keep it warm. I've got a lid. You can tell my serving dish, I got sauce all over it. So just wipe that down real quick as we get ready to serve it. Don't need to see sauce everywhere. All right. So now, last thing is jackfruit. So jackfruit is, let me show you what it looks like. So this is a really big bag of it. So I end up ordering it through a distributor and stuff because it's Upton, so it's UPTONS, which is jackfruit. It's one of my favorites as the brand Upton's. Amazon has it, and it's in usually these packs like this, so you can buy it in the cans with the brine. What I find though is the jackfruit that's in the cans of the brine sometimes has a little bit of not like a little bit of a vinegar or something flavor. And so even when you put a lot of things on it, you'll still get kind of a different flavor with it. When you get the jackfruit that's in the packs like this, and all it is just jackfruit and water. So young jackfruit and water, and it turns, kind of this nice color. When you put things on it in this type of a pack, and you can get the little Uptons you'll usually see like in the grocery stores, and they'll have like different flavors on the jackfruit, and it's in like little boxes, but this is one of the big packs. It basically tastes like whatever you put on it. So if you put barbecue sauce, you put, you want to do like Mexican flavors, it takes jackfruit just like tofu. It will take whatever the flavors that you put on it. So this is the one I use, Upton's. Upton's tends to be my favorite brand. And like I said, you can get little packs of it that are like $3 or $4. This one, I think on Amazon used to be like $12. But what you can do with jackfruit is you can be like, okay, I'm going to use this for heroes, or I'm going to use this for Huevos Rancheros. You can take out parts of it and then freeze the rest. So this one here, this jackfruit here that's been here marinating is actually what I took out of the freezer because it was frozen, and it's been frozen for about 2.5 months because I didn't want to open a big pack for that yet. So little tips and tricks. Upton's is, like I said, UPTONS, best brand that I like. And what I recommend too is a lot of times, a lot of people will, they'll ask me about jackfruit. They'll be like, can I use it fresh? If it's in the store and it's like green on the outside and you're cutting it up and all those kind of things, the jackfruit will taste like will taste like bubble gum and cantaloupe and honeydew all mixed together. And it's really good for like fresh and when you're eating like for just, fruit and stuff, but it's not real good because of the bubble gum and those flavors and stuff in something like this. So that's why I always get the packs like that and freeze them up and then use the jackfruit as I need it. So the jackfruit I was letting it marinate because you definitely, like the longer you let it marinate, the more that it soaks up, just like tofu. So this is jackfruit that, like I said, that was frozen. And you can see the pieces of it are, still just like the jackfruit that's there. And then I've got a little bit of lemon in it, vegetable broth, liquid smoke. So it gives you that smoky flavor because you're looking for more of that kind of a smoky type of a meat. Like usually a lot of times huevos would have, beef or pork on them. And then it has chili powder, ground cumin, and ground oregano. So it's been soaking in here, just kind of, mixing it up a little bit. And when you open it, it smells so good because it has that liquid smoke. Is everybody familiar? If you're not familiar with liquid smoke, let me know. But it's one of those ones that, you buy for like $2.99 in a little jar or a little container like that. And it lasts like a year because it's like a little drop here, a little drop there. So this is ready to go. So let me go ahead and turn on. So all you're going to do is after it's been soaking. So this is something you could do, a day ahead of time and just have it in just 24 hours. And when you're going in there and you just kind of go in the fridge, just kind of mix it around a little bit, marinate it. The more you marinate it, better it tastes. Really good. So here we go. If you don't want to do jackfruit like this in the pan, you could also, same thing like I was talking about with the tofu. You could actually put it on a pan, parchment lined baking sheet, and put it in the oven 350. And then you're going to get, instead of more just like sauteing and maybe a little bit of caramelization, you're going to get a lot of caramelization on the side. And that's really good too. But I didn't want to have to make you wait for like 20 minutes while it was baking in the oven. Okay, let's get some stuff out of the way. All right, so here I'll show you, I'll just kind of. So there's the jackfruit before I get into any cooking or anything like that yet. So that's what it looks like. So it looks like truly when you're kind of shredding it a little bit, it looks like pulled pork. So, and like I said, it takes the same flavors on it and everything, and it's really good and healthy. I mean, it's just jackfruit, which is really nice. But the smell is really good. This, like I said, that it's just like, it's like walking into a Mexican restaurant that maybe had some like smoky fajitas or something. This is what this smells like. Really nice. All right, so we're gonna let that go. You are gonna notice in jackfruit, if you've not used it before, you are gonna get, once in a while, you'll see these little seeds. So the jackfruit usually there's like pods, and so there'll be a seed, and then it'll have like more of the shredded jackfruit. If you ever see that when it's cut open. So these little seeds, you'll kind of be like, the first time you see them, it almost looks like a pinto bean. You might want to say, "Oop, I'll take that out." Don't. Just go ahead and use them. And then if you want to break them down a little bit, just take a fork, like what I was doing with the tofu. Just take a fork and shred it up, and it shreds up just like everything else. Or even just, you don't even have to take a fork, just back of a spoon will work. That smells so good. Yep, jackfruit's high in potassium and vitamin C. Very good. All right, so black beans are going to be one of our bases on there. So I'm going to heat these up just in the microwave. Just get those ready. Sauce is ready. All right, my tortillas are ready. Then what I'm going to do is, while this is cooking, put that on a medium. I'm going to get I'm gonna get the ingredients ready for the vegan sour cream. So, vegan sour cream is just, it's been draining, silken tofu. My favorite is Mori New silken tofu, extra firm. You can get these, I love these because they're shelf safe. So you can put these, you can get these at like natural grocers, Amazon has them. And what you do is you just keep them in your pantry. And then when you need like mayo or vegan sour cream or something like that, you just open the box and it's ready to go, which is really nice. So you don't take up refrigerator space. Okay, so that's going to go in my food processor. So all I'm going to do is crumble it up just a little bit. Just make sure you drain it. There's probably maybe 2 tablespoons of moisture in the silken tofu that's in these little boxes. So not much, but just enough to make it runny if you don't drain it. All right, and then we have a little bit of lemon. So I used the lemon for the jackfruit, so I had plenty left over. So I'm just going to use the other half. The lemon's going to give that acid, which is what you're looking for. Garlic. And then apple cider vinegar. And then plug it in. And hit blend. Soaking up all the liquid, but still going. So same thing, you might get a little bit of the silken tofu on the side. So just stop, just like you would normally do. And then just push it down. For a little bit longer. You get big chunks of if you still see a little bit of big chunks and stuff of your jackfruit, just use the back of the spoon. There we go. So one of the tips I always give when you have a food processor, you see the hole that's here in the bottom, which is where it holds the blade. Always just kind of like put your finger in there, like your index finger, and then just hold the blade, and that way you can tip it whatever you need to do. But the silken tofu made the vegan sour cream all nice and creamy. So what I do is I put this in usually a mason jar with a plastic lid. So I stayed away from all the metal lids because it turns everything metal flavoring. So I just use like plastic lids that look like this, and you can buy these. They're pretty inexpensive. I think they're under $10 for like 12. So they're really nice to use, and then you don't get that metal flavoring that's yucky on things, like where it ruins your dressing and all that. Especially when you're using a mayo or a vegan sour cream, you definitely don't want that metal flavor. All right. Throw that back in there. Okay, let's get everything. So we've got, grab the tofu out, black beans, kind of get everything laid up. So toppings, we're going to use, so you can use spinach or kale. I actually have got spinach in here, but I also put a little bit of red leaf. A lot of it just because I like red leaf. I think it's pretty and it just adds color. So I was looking for some color on these. And then I actually just chopped up some red cabbage because I think red cabbage on anything is beautiful. And Jerry, when I chop up red cabbage, he will sit there and just like handfuls of it. Sliced jalapenos, you could roast them up if you wanted to. I have a little bit of microgreens. That's always on top. I have limes as I dump them over the table. So those will be on the side. I'm going to slice up some avocado. These are nice. If you just saw these are Avo keepers. So they're basically called Avo Savor. And you put the seed inside of it there, wrap it. And this is 2 days. Keeps it nice and fresh. Then I have my corn because, that and my black beans. I've got my jackfruit. Okay, so we've got everything. Sauce. Let's get some things made up. Okay. Get that out of there. May not come off easy. Oh, well. Then it could just sit there. It won't come off very easy. All right. Let's grab. Put it off to the side. That. Off to the side like that. So give me some room. All right. So first one. Get my plate. It's really spicy in here. I can smell this. Can you smell the spices, Jer? Lots of spices. All right. Grab a spoon. Black beans. If you don't like black beans and you're like, I would prefer pinto, all up to you. You could actually, if you wanted to, you could buy the smashed, or you could just mash them yourself if you wanted to. I'm looking more for the whole beans this time. Jerry loves black beans. So we'll just make sure we get them all in there good. Okay, there's one. And let's get one that's flat. Kind of off to the side a little bit. A little bit more. Even it out. Okay. All right, so then you've got so you could go, so you can kind of like, depending on how you want to build it. I'm going to put the tofu egg next. And put as much or as little as you want. Spread it out. And if it falls a little bit off of the tostado, about being pretty. There we go. Okay, so I'll put the lid back on that to keep it warm to make the rest. Jackfruit. One piece doesn't want to stay with me. All right, much or as little as you want. Taste-wise, very smoky, which is really good. It's a little bit of spicy, but very smoky. Okay, so that's that. Okay, now you're going to build all the pretty. So I've got some of the spinach and the red leaf. Try not to do so much where you can't actually see the bottom of it. Red cabbage. So just going to do a little bit more chop. You could leave it very, very large slices if you want. But I'm going to just add a little bit of and this is one of these things too. You could actually put everything on the table and have everybody make their own. So you wouldn't have to make all these up if you didn't want to right away. Okay, so that's in there. Add just a couple pieces kind of around the plate because got to do a picture here in a little bit. Okay, jalapeno. Actually, let's do corn. It's all about the layering. What I always call the layering is eye candy. Then we got the couple of the not going to cooperate with me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we got that on there. So now we're going to do, so let's do a little bit of the sour cream. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to do the avocado. I'm going to slice it in half because these are huge slices. Really big avocado. That. Okay, so then we'll do, so we got that in there. We'll do a little, oops, and knock it over. We got to do a little bit of chili. See how thick? It's actually very thick and smoky and hot. Jerry wants lots of chili. I'll do enough for a photo, make it look good, and then you can always add more. How's that? All right. Dollop. Sour cream, because you're going to need it a little bit with the hot chili. Okay. Wash pan. It's actually moving. Stop moving. There we go. And then jalapenos. I think I will cut them in half. That. And then the last thing we had, greens. Greens are good for you. So there we go. Move this out of the way so I can. There we go. So we have huevos rancheros. We've got the black beans on the bottom, and the black beans you could always add, like salsa flavors, whatever you want. But there's so much other things that are in the sauce that probably don't need it. Then we've got the tofu. So we got the tofu eggs that are on there. Also, then we added the jackfruit, so the smoky jackfruit, which has a really nice tang to it. I added in red cabbage, so I just made that for more crunch, that kind of thing, which I love crunch. And then I added in some roasted corn just because I had some that was in the fridge. And then I've got your vegan sour cream, your jalapenos. You've got your different lettuces. So you could do, whatever lettuce that you want. I like red leaf just because I think it's really pretty. And then, so I got the vegan sour cream, jalapenos, and then I put just a little bit of the microgreens on top, just so it makes it pretty. So there you go. Other things you could add that I could think about, like you could do, like you could saute up some or grill some pineapple, which would be really good on this side too. So it kind of cools it down a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed, but that could be could be breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, sometime during the day, whatever you want and stuff. These are all good things and stuff that you can eat and enjoy. I guarantee you, once you try them, they'll probably become a dinner favorite. More than likely. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Join us next time for Veggie Benedicts. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.